Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician, aside from actually playing your instrument, which we're going to take as a given. It's an endless journey. It's one that we all love, and we are all frustrated by, but hey-ho, life is full of oxymorons. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it's the balance. It's the yin and the yang of life. There's got to be a bit of all that. But anyway, welcome if you're new here. Welcome if you've been here for a while. My name is Emily Dolan Davies. I am a drummer by trade, and I like to chat a lot. And today I wanted to share with you my favourite mantras, if you like, that I tell myself, that I choose to believe, because I have this obsession with the inner workings of people and what they believe, like what their core beliefs are, to push them forward. I've always been fascinated by it. Especially when I was younger and I was trying to work out like how to be a professional, and just how to excel, how to be great at something. I was always very intrigued about the internal monologue that was going on inside any one person's head, what they were telling themselves, what they believed, and all that sort of stuff. And it's occurred to me that I have not properly shared I'm going to use the word concise, but let's face it, this won't be concise. This will be a bit all over the shop, but it's an episode dedicated to, the sort of core beliefs that I have and the core things that I tell myself. And obviously, these are all my choice. I don't, that made me sound like I was like I was under duress and someone was making me think this way. No, what I mean is this works for me, and I'm not saying that anyone else should take on these same beliefs, because there are benefits to thinking like this, there are downsides to thinking like this, and again, I'm only going to share a few of them because there's so many, honestly, there's so many, but I'm going to share with you the most helpful things that I often tell myself and give you some sort of examples of where that's really worked out for me, just by sort of like continually telling me myself these things. And again, I think that you have to I know you have to genuinely believe these, like whatever you believe, whatever mantras, whatever what do people call them, affirmations, whatever else that you tell yourself, you do need to truly believe them, because if you don't, there will be an incongruence in sort of like what you're saying to yourself and how you feel, and that won't, in my experience, that only ever makes things feel worse. And I've touched on this in other episodes. I'm quite lucky in that when I tell myself something that I truly don't believe, and I'm thinking specifically of positive affirmations, which I've always struggled with. I love the idea, I really truly do, but they just don't work for me, because I tell myself something that even thinking about it is making me go, ugh. I tell myself something that I'm trying to believe, and I have a physical reaction, like negative reaction of like pain, feeling unwell, like I can feel it in my body, and I don't take it on. I'm very stubborn. I'm sure you've noticed this, but my body, my soul is stubborn. It rejects things that it doesn't believe, and then my brain will switch and tell me all the reasons that can't be true, which means that I have to physically kind of battle myself. It's a whole thing. But anyway, that isn't what this episode is about. These are the things that I choose to believe, that I do believe, that are in my soul, that are in my bones, and these things have come from life experience. They've come from like growing up, being told things, and I've just taken them as gospel, if you like. Obviously there've been things that I'm sure we all grow up with, being told that we think are true, and it doesn't serve a very good purpose, but these are some of the ones that have served me in a very good way. So yeah, anyway, hopefully you like some of these and you can kind of like use them if they resonate with you as well, and just know that I'm telling myself these things often, and they are the things that send to me when things are tough, and you know, inevitably life is tough sometimes. It's how it goes. So the first sort of mantra or sort of thought that I distinctly remember from when I very first started playing the drums, and again, at the time I wasn't consciously aware of this. But as I look back, I realised that this was very much a thing. And it's more the absence of thought. Something I'm very good at. No, that's not true. My brain is always going. So something that was absent in my thoughts and something that was very useful in my thoughts from very, very early days of playing drums. And that was this, do you know what? Before I carry on, because I've just remembered and I'm annoyed at myself, I want to thank the Patreon people for supporting this podcast. I'm spitting. I'm so annoyed at myself. I keep telling myself, do this first thing. Do this as the first thing so that they, in case they don't listen to the whole episode because they're busy or whatever, or maybe they don't like it, that's fine. I still want to be able to say thank you up front. So from top, almost, sorry, thank you to the lovely Patreon subscribers for supporting this podcast. It means the world to me that you are, willing to part ways with your hard-earned cash because you get something from this. It means everything to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry, I sound annoyed at you. I'm not. I'm annoyed at me. I'm annoyed at me. Emily, sort your life out. Anyway, thank you to the Patreon subscribers. I really appreciate it. And yes, I hope you're having a nice day. Anyway, carrying on. So the number one thing that I remember from when I was a kid, when I was starting playing drums, and just my thought patterns generally, and obviously there were many thoughts kicking about, especially at that age. I was 11 years old, but something that I distinctly remember is that something that never, ever, ever factored into like how I was thinking about playing the drums, something that never factored in was this idea of if I become a drummer. It was never about if. There was never a question in my mind about if I could be a drummer, even if I could be a professional drummer. That actually never even figured for whatever reason, and I'll probably put that down to my upbringing, so thank you to my parents. It was never a question of if I could do this. What it was a question of is how. And it was about finding a way to do this. And like I say, I remember this from the moment I sat down and started playing drums for the first time. The thought was, wow, I understand this. I couldn't do it, obviously, but I understood it. I understood something in me recognized what I needed to do, like physically, as a drummer. And I thought, I could be good at this. And then I thought, I'm willing to work to be good at this. So that was an interesting initial thought. That isn't something that's, it is something that's stuck with me, obviously, because I work very hard. But past that, it was very much about finding a way. It was like, right, how can I find a way to make this work? There is a way. And again, these next sort of like things that I tell myself very much feed into this. But it was just like, right, I've just got to work out how. That's all I need to do. It's not about if. I'm going to do this. I just need to find a way. So again, this kind of leads into probably the baseline of everything that I do. It is, I'd say it's the foundational mantra that I tell myself, and it has served me more than anything else, I think. I'm pretty certain. And that is this idea of, I'll make it work, I'll find a way. And again, this feeds into this kind of, it's not about if, it's about how. When I tell you that this attitude of like, I'll find a way, I'll make it work, in my experience, it is the most common thread in professional musicians. Like, when I do talk to other musicians about the sort of like the internal workings of our brains, I was going to say our very interesting brains, I find that there is a stark difference between sort of those that either want to be professional, or maybe they are, but they kind of drop off after a certain point, and those that have stuck around. I'm trying to think of a good metaphor. Stuck around like a I want to say a bad smell, but it's not that. Anyway, the ones that have stuck around, I feel all have this element of like, I'll work it out, I'll make it work, I'll find a way. Because we're stubborn. We are stubborn. We're like a dog with like a pit bull that won't let go. We've got it in our teeth and our jaws, and we're just locked, and we're not letting go of this thing. So we just need to make it work, basically. And a good example of that I had was when I was in China with an artist called Tricky, 90s trip hop artist, amazing artist. Funnily enough, I was chatting to his new drummer recently, which is really cool. There's something about those that have worked with Tricky, and if by any chance there's anyone that's listening to this that has worked with Tricky, there is kind of an alumni, there is a bond that happens between. I think it's the same with all artists. Like when you've worked with an artist, everyone that has, you kind of have this, even if you've never met each other, you have this point of reference. And it's like you become instant family because there is a, I don't know, there's a bond that happens when you have that kind of artist in common. But anyway, this happened the other day when I was chatting to Tricky's new drummer, and I was just like, oh, we're family. I get you. I get your experience. We have a point of common ground. It's always really nice. It's a really nice thing. But anyway, so when we were in China, basically, we lost a couple of musicians that were on the tour with us, one of which now... Tricky is a trip hop artist, as I said, which means that we were using a lot of electronics and a lot of track. And one of the guys that we lost is the guy that had all the tracks, all the samples, he's the MD, he was running the show. We lost him, we lost a guitarist. So we were left with literally me, a bass player, and a backing vocalist. That was it. And Tricky, obviously. And we were in, where were we? I want to say Shanghai, but I might be making that up. And we had a show to do, and we lost these guys on the beginning of the day of this show. We had nothing to work from, and the way I've told this story a few times, so I apologize, I'm repeating myself if you've heard this before, but the way that Tricky runs his shows is basically you play, like, say, an intro, maybe a verse, and then it's kind of a free-for-all, and Tricky will point at different musicians to start and stop playing. He will make different gestures and different movements to go to different sections in the song. It's something you just have to learn when you're on that gig. I love it. It's like a real flying by the seat of your pants. You've really got to be concentrated. You've got to be on his level when you're playing with him, which I love. I really thrived in that situation. It was very stressful, but I really enjoyed it in a sadistic kind of way. But anyway, but what that means consequently is that you don't actually learn Tricky songs as songs, you learn them as sections, and then you kind of read him and you sort of work off that, and then you know how they end as well, you know how they end. But because we didn't have that ability, because the guy that would have been, you know, putting in all the relevant parts that are essentially the key to each of those songs, you know, at the end of the day, there, you know, a lot of samples, a lot of keys parts that are the crux of the song. What we had to do, and this is wild, we couldn't get hold of the tracks in time, as in the original sessions from the management. I think we got hold of the most recent album's worth, but it was like 30 minutes of music. We were contracted to do an hour and a half. And so we had to, we sort of like had an emergency meeting, and the front of house said, look, if we play the tracks from the album, like the different albums, I could try and EQ out the drums and the bass, and we can work with that basically, and you know, Tricky can still do his thing over the top, but it's gonna be a mess, but we can put together a show sort of thing. And like I say, it's this idea of, I'll make it work. That was coming from the front of house, who has been in this industry for a long time, worked with many, many people. And then it came down to the band. All right, well, we've got to learn these songs for the first time, really. Obviously, we know the parts, but we don't know what the structures are on the album. Like, no idea. And it was just like, okay, cool. So I was like, right, great, I know how to do that. So I was like, right, I will be going away, I will be charting songs. Me and one of the techs as well, he was like, right, we'll work together, because the tech was going to be on the laptop playing these songs off of iTunes. I know, it's insane. And then Tricky said to me, look, because also we would never usually work with a set list. It would just be like, he would tell the MD what song he wanted to do. The MD would start playing the song. You got to know within 2 notes what that song is, and you got to play. Go. That's how it rolls. And again, love it. I love the chaos of it. It was really fun. But anyway, and Tricky never liked working from a set list, so he could go with the flow. He could do what he wanted, and you know, some songs ended up being 3 minutes long, some ended up being like 20 minutes long, depending on what mood he was in. But he came to me and he said, look, you just tell me what the set list needs to be. You tell me what you need me to do. Again, it's this thing of like, we'll make it work. And you know, Tricky's an artist, he can do whatever in the world he wants, but he was willing to be flexible on that. And you know, some artists wouldn't, but he would. And he's been around a long time as well. He's been working a long time. Now, what was interesting about this is that there were also people involved in that situation where, rather than as I was doing, which was relearning these songs, charting them out, you know, making sure that I knew exactly what was going to happen during this gig. I, you know, did a set list. As I say, made sure I knew every structure down to the T, what was, you know, coming in where and all this sort of stuff. But some other people in the group did not do that thing, and they kind of like just decided to go sleep, go essentially put their head in the sand, and just kind of let it be what it will be. And it was very, very, I don't know, it really was quite stark in the kind of different approaches. It wasn't about, I'll make this work, we're all part of a team, let's do this. It was like, no, you guys go do it and I'll just turn up. And it was like, really? It was quite disappointing in the moment, if I'm honest, because I'm the person that when I go on tour with a group of people, we're family, we're a team. Like, you know, I may not get on with everyone 100%, but I don't care. That I'd still, you know, I will fight for, you know, metaphorically, maybe even physically, for every person on a tour, because like you are my people, that's it. And we, you know, we're together, we're a unit, that's it. And it was very disappointing to kind of see the difference in that. But again, it very much highlighted to me this kind of attitude of, right, we'll make it work. What do we need to do? Like, we're going to find a way. Let's do this. And it's just so interesting to me that all those people that were on the side of, you know, I'll make it work, let's do this, they've been in this industry for a very long time. And I feel like that can't be a coincidence. Surely. Let me rephrase. I choose to believe that that's not a coincidence. And again, any musician that I've come across that has been in this world for a long time is very successful, you know, has worked with a lot of artists or whatever else, has longevity, has this attitude of, I'll make it work. We'll find a way. And again, it's not even, well, sometimes it is, I will find a way, but often it is, we will find a way. It's a team effort, it's togetherness. It's kind of like, yeah, I just find it interesting that is, it's a common thread. And again, I'm sort of like collecting these data points by myself as part of a very unofficial investigation just in my brain, not even properly kind of like noting it down. Maybe I should do a proper kind of experiment and yeah, anyway, maybe that's something for a dissertation in a few years' time. But I just find it very interesting. I like I say, it is the most common theme that I've found in terms of mantras, and it's those that are inflexible that drop off at some point, like almost as an inevitability. It's really interesting. Another thing that helps me a lot as well in those situations of like, right, we'll make it work. If there's any pushback from myself, and I just think, oh, I can't do that because of XYZ. There's another thing that I always tell myself, and it's something that my dad has always said, and that is you will always find a reason to not do something. And I think that's really powerful too, because it's correct. You will always find a reason not to do something, so it's irrelevant. Like, just go do it. anyone can find a reason not to do something. That's everyone. Are you everyone? Nope, I'm not everyone. I'm me, and I will find a way. So that's kind of where my brain goes with that, if that makes sense. In another sort of similar way, when I'm finding things, like that's a very specific thing where something's gone wrong, right? And in a way that's kind of easier to deal with, because there's kind of, it's a solution finding mission, if you like, effort, which I'm a solution finder. I enjoy trying to fix things that are broken, or fix things that could be better, or help people, or help a situation, or whatever else. I enjoy that when there's a physical problem or whatever, and I can do something to influence that in a positive way. I love that. However, of course, there are times when it's a little more abstract, if you like, a little more, I want to use the word esoteric, but I'm not convinced that it's the correct word. I'm going to use it anyway. Esoteric. Sorry for all the people that are really good with the English language. I'm terrible. I do enjoy just trying out words, seeing how they fit, even if the definition is not quite right. I think it's something both me and my sister do. It's quite funny because the other one will be like, not sure that's the correct word, but okay. Anyway, that's fine when it's more tangible, but when it's a little more fluid, like say, just generally I'm feeling a bit like I'm struggling and things feel really hard, or, you know, it's just a general kind of, like, this is difficult, I want to throw in the towel. And yes, there's been countless times that I've wanted to throw in the towel, you know, give up this thing of being a professional musician. There's been times when I've wanted to just jack it all in and go work at McDonald's or go stack shelves in Tesco's, like on the night shift. There's something really appealing to me about that. Don't ask me why. Well, I can tell you why, but it's not important. It's not even slightly interesting. And I know the reality of it would not be what I have in my head. But anyway, you know, there have been those times, you know, I just want to go get a 9 to 5. I want to be able to close the door on my job because it is all consuming. You know, my life my work is all consuming. It is in me, it is in my consciousness all of the time, which I love. I'm very lucky, but sometimes it can be very difficult and very challenging. And when things aren't working the way that I'm anticipating, or how I'm setting out to do stuff, and if things aren't working, and I feel those moments of like, maybe I should just jack this all in and give this all up and just go do something completely different, I often come back to this. There's a series of mantras when it comes to this, actually. The first one was told to me by my cousin, Nigel Mogg. He's a bass player. He used to play with a band called the Choir Boys. And the thing he used to always tell me when I first started playing drums, he used to say, I'll tell you what my uncle told me. So his uncle is Phil Mogg, who is in a band called UFO, 70s band, rock band. And he used to tell Nigel, nobody said this would be easy. And that was Nigel's gift to me. He said to me, so remember that, nobody said this would be easy. And I thought that for a very long time. And it was very, very useful for a very long time. But I've changed it slightly. Because I find that very, I don't know, nobody said this would be easy. Like almost angry, and almost like I'm putting myself down by saying that, almost like you're an idiot for thinking that this would be easy. So I changed it up because it wasn't very kind in my brain. It might be fine for you. You might be like, you're reading too much into this, but I know how I feel when I say that to myself. I don't like it. It has a negative connotation. So what I tell myself instead is, if this was easy, everyone would be doing it. And actually, this point, this threshold, whatever this feeling is, whatever this struggle is the point that most people would give up. But it's those that are successful that would push through this. Now, who do you want to be? And that's it. It pushes me to just take another step forward when I maybe don't want to. And it's because I'm stubborn and I'm like, I'm not like most people. I'm spitting a lot today. This is wild. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just tell myself I'm not like most people. Yeah, most people would give up right now, but I'm not most people. Yes, I get angry with myself. I get angry with myself. I need to get to that point sometimes where I'm so sick of myself. There's just like, just move forward, for crying out loud. Like, it's not, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. This is where most people would give up. You're not most people. Come on. And in a weird way, it is kind of backing myself, which is something that I maybe have not been great at historically, but I'm certainly a lot better now. Again, it comes from a place of frustration usually. It's not just my general state is not, Emily, you're the best, you're so great. No, it's not that. I'm very critical of myself. I always want to be pushing. I always want to be progressing. I always want to be growing and learning and expanding all my knowledge and my experience and all that sort of stuff. So there's always an element of kind of, no, come on, more. And yes, that's unhealthy. Definitely. So there needs to be a balance there. But I do find this way of kind of being not too harsh on myself, like, nobody said this was going to be easy, you idiot, which is how I used to talk to myself. But now it's like, no, look, you know, if it were easy, everyone would be doing it, and they're not. But you are, and you're here, and this is the point that most people would drop off, so keep going. Go. One step at a time. Keep going, one step forward, that's it. That's all you got to do, just one more step, and see. And inevitably those feelings will then start to dissipate. You know, I might even go down a route that I hadn't even seen before because I was so fixated on one way and not allowing myself the space to kind of look any other way. And just, you know, it breaks a pattern. I think there's something about breaking patterns as well that's very, very useful, and maybe I should explore that as an idea to kind of address in an episode. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, and as I say, there's been so many times that I felt that way about just wanting to give up, and then I've told myself that, even down to this podcast sometimes. You know, I even today, in fact, today I had a fleeting thought, which I have every so often with this podcast, which is, it's not about it even being hard, it's about it being valuable. Like, is this even valuable? Like, who am I to be spouting off about random stuff? You know, is this valuable? It's not even about it being interesting. I don't care about it being interesting, because it either is or isn't to you, and that's fine. But it's about it bringing value to you. And more often than no, in fact, every reason that I've ever taken a break from this podcast is because the answer to that was no. And this morning there was a question. There was a question mark, like, is this still valuable? Am I still providing good value for people? But again, it was kind of this, it wasn't about, you know, if this was easy, everyone would be doing it. But it was like, well, let's just take one step forward. And I sat down in front of my document with many different subjects on it. And I just was like, actually, yeah, there is value here. Let's talk about this. So anyway, so lucky for you, I'm still here. But anyway, it's an interesting thing. So I really like that as an idea. Like, if this was easy, everyone would be doing it. I think that's a really valuable thing to tell myself personally. So hopefully that might work for you. Another really interesting one that I've sort of been using recently, which is, it's sort of based around the idea of identity, which I spoke about in a previous episode recently. And it's a really great sentence starter for me that then, like, pushes me into action. And that is this: I'm the kind of person that ... So, for instance, right, yesterday, so basically, you know, sorry, I'm talking to you like you're right. You are right here, as far as I'm concerned. If you, I'm hoping that you've listened to any sort of recent episode. So, you know how, or if you don't know, in the last sort of like month, I injured my shoulder. Right, had some nerve thing. I don't really know what it was. I didn't see a physio. I know I should have done. I was being stubborn. I was like, this will fix itself. I'm just going to rest it. I know best. I don't know best. Of course I don't, but I'm stubborn. Anyway, for like the last month, I haven't been going to my boxing classes, which again, if you've been listening to me recently, I've fallen completely in love with boxing. It's so amazing, just for fitness, for strength, for like just confidence, just like I feel like a badass when I'm doing it. I'm not particularly good, but I don't care. It's fun. It's so much fun, and I've never had a fitness thing that I've found so much fun ever in my life. And it's just going to have fun, and then fitness is kind of a byproduct of it. I've never had that in my life. I love it. It's amazing. Anyway, I was injured for the last month, which means that I couldn't do it the way I wanted to, which means that I haven't been working out very much, right? And that is disappointing to me, because again, it comes down to this identity thing, because I want to be the kind of person that is fit, that, is healthy. And therefore, this thing of I'm the kind of person that is a really useful tool for me, because let's say yesterday, for instance, I've been sort of toying with this fact of like, I want to be doing more stuff outside of the boxing, because at the moment I'm only going twice a week just to kind of get back into it. But I need to be training more than that right now, just whilst I am. And I wanted to do this calisthenics workout, and I was kind of like, getting to the middle of the day, and I was like, I want to do it, but then these excuses started coming in. Of course, there's always a reason to not do something. Thank you. But I switched it up, and I went, well, I'm the kind of person that and actually you can preface this. You can say, if I were an athlete, or if I were a fitness person, or if I were fit, I would be the kind of person that, or, that kind of realm. Like, okay, if I were that person, what does that mean? What does that look like? What are the actions that I would need to take to be that kind of person? And then take the action. So that's what I did. I was like, right, if I'm the kind of person that's fit, then I would be working out at this time, or I would be working out right now, or I would be, I would be in my workout gear right now. It doesn't even matter. But the point is that it pushed me into taking the action, and I did the workout, and it was great. I mean, it just, to have done it was such a thing, and it was I felt great for it. I really did. And it wasn't particularly sort of strenuous or anything. That wasn't the point. The point was doing the action, because I'm the kind of person that is fit. I'm the kind of person that is healthy. Dude, it's the same with eating. So how long ago did I start doing this? Maybe about a year and a half ago. I started doing meal prep and freezing meals, basically. And the reason was because I found myself going through these phases of feeling really depressed. And when I was depressed, I love cooking. You should know this about me now. I love cooking and I love food. But when I was in these depressive states, I did not have the energy to cook, which meant that I was eating rubbish, whether that be, I don't know, chicken dippers and smiley faces, or one of my favourites, or super noodles, one of my favourites for when I'm feeling a bit down on myself, or ordering a takeout. Obviously, that isn't going to help my mental state. And I sort of became aware of that, and I was like, I need to circumvent this, so that it's inevitable that I will have down days, because I'm human. And at the time I wasn't on medication yet, which has helped massively. So if anyone is thinking about going on medication, go explore that. Let me just tell you, because this changed my life. I didn't know that sometimes depression, anxiety and things like that can literally be a chemical imbalance in your brain. And it's not because you've done something wrong. It's not because you are incapable. It's not because you suck at anything. It's literally your biology. And medication can rebalance that. And that's what it's done for me. It's changed my life. I tell you this because if this helps one person explore that as an option, go explore it. It might not be for you. That's fine. But if you have any sort of stigma around, if I choose to take medication, it's because I've failed and because I'm not able to fix myself, which is how I felt for years. Since I was 14 is when I started having depressive episodes, and 18 is when I started trying to fix myself. And for all that time, so it would have been 16 years, I just felt broken and that I couldn't fix myself. If I had been told, and in fact, my mum maintains that she did actually tell me this when I was 18, but I weren't going to listen to it, which was that sometimes it is just a chemical imbalance. I would have saved myself years of struggle and pain and really dark thoughts and really dark moments and, you know, potentially really not great results. Anyway, but I'm here. Why was I telling you this? I can't even remember. I'm really sorry. Why was I mentioning this? Something about I'm the kind of person that... Food. Of course it was. Right. So anyway, knowing that I would go into these depressive episodes, I was like, right, so I'm the kind of person that is healthy, and how can I maintain that, and how can I maximize that for when I am feeling bad? And the thing that I will need is actually nutrition. And I just thought that, basically, right, if I sort of planned for those moments where I do feel like I don't want to cook, at least I've got something in the freezer that is quicker than putting on chicken dippers and smiley faces, or is quicker than, and cheaper obviously, than ordering a takeout, right? So I did that, and now, rather than, you know, because I'm on this medication now, I very rarely have sort of like similar down moments, and if I do, they're so nowhere close to what they used to be, I can't even begin to tell you, but they still happen, you know, I'm still human. And in those moments, my default now is get something from the freezer, because I'm a healthy person. I'm the kind of person that eats healthy. It's not even a thing. Like, there is no resistance there. It's just like, yeah, great. All right, something from the freezer then. I'm too tired to cook. All right, something from the freezer then. Excellent. And I know that it's healthy. I know what's in it. I know it's nutritious. I've done the work beforehand. And, you know, in those moments where I'm feeling inspired and full of energy, I get to cook. I get to enjoy it for multiple days. It's just the best. I just love it. But again, it's this thing of that feeds into this narrative, this identity of, I am a healthy person, therefore I'm the kind of person that X, Y, Z. And with that means that I will also be working out after I finish recording these episodes. I'm the kind of person that also, you know, enjoys giving back to people. That's why I'm doing this podcast for you right now. It's just like, because that's my identity. I'm someone that likes to help people, and that's it. So anyway, I hope that sort of like gives you an idea of something, like just being very purposeful of being the kind of person that you want to be, and then taking the actions that kind of person would take. It's, to me, it sounds like such a logical, simple concept, but it really has like changed the way that I think about things. So I don't know, maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're like, Emily, that's so obvious, like, just what are you talking about? Or you might be like, that is absolute rubbish. That's fine, I don't mind, it works for me. That's all I care about, really. And then another thing, this is kind of this is a homage to Hannah Dolan Davis. Because she hates this saying, and it really makes me laugh so much. So Han, if you're listening, this one's for you. You know exactly what's coming. And that is this saying of, it is what it is. Now, this is a bit of a phrase that I feel like is just really of the moment. I'm sure it will pass, but I kind of expand on this. So this idea of, it is what it is, we are where we are, and we move forward. That's my saying. And it is what it is. I want to talk about that slightly for a second. So to me, the saying of, it is what it is very much like, there are things out of my control, so therefore it is what it is, and we take it from there, sort of thing. To Hannah, it is what it is means you're abstaining from any responsibility, or that you can do anything about the situation, which I understand. In that context, I don't like the saying. I don't like the phrasing. I think it's very, absolving you of any responsibility of a situation is not ideal. I think take responsibility as much as you can, because it's just, it's very dismissive of your involvement in a situation when you put it in that context of, it is what it is, like, I am what I am, is sort of that thing. And I don't like that. But my version is, this is the situation as it is. We are where we are, and we move. That's it. It is what it is. We are where we are, and we move. Because that kind of accepts exactly the situation that you're in, and then we plan from there, and we move from that point, rather than trying to change what maybe cannot be changed, or it's not worth trying to battle to change something that, you know, either it's not beneficial or it's purely out of stubbornness. It's not from a point of progression, if that makes sense. And that can be progression for yourself, for you and someone else, for a group of people, who knows? It could be anything. It could be literally anything. But I really like that as like an acceptance of the moment, which is something that I've struggled with in the past, of like acceptance of this is just how it is, and then we move forward. Have I struggled with that? No, maybe I haven't actually. But no, yeah, I haven't, definitely. But I like it. I just like it as an acceptance moment, as acknowledging that sometimes a situation sucks. And then we move. Here's what it is. We are where we are, and we move. That's it. I like it. I find it very empowering. It's like, cool. We move on. We're not going to dwell in this. We're gonna acknowledge, and we're gonna go. So I like that one too. And Hannah, if you're listening, anyway. So another one that I really like. I promise you, I'm almost done. Another one that I like that is a bit controversial, I think. I think some people really don't like this one. I do, because historically I look back on how my life has unfolded, and I choose to believe this. This is the one that I choose to believe most. But I understand why some people hate this one, and I understand, but I like this. And that is, everything happens for a reason. Again, along with I will find a way, I'll make this work. This is the baseline of my existence. Like, everything happens for a reason. I need to believe that. And whether it's true or not, the fact that I choose to believe it, I look back at my life and I find patterns in my life and things that have happened to support that. It gives me great comfort and it gives me meaning. So I need to believe that. It is the reason that when bad things happen, and bad things will always happen, I think, okay, I know that I'm going to look back at this in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, and go, I'm so glad that happened, or that had to happen, or that was a turning point, or just to notice something that good that had come from that wouldn't have happened otherwise. I need that. That is, so please don't debunk my literal core belief. Please, if you don't agree, I completely respect that, and I appreciate that, and I understand that it can be very, it can undermine people's pain and experience, and I really do, I do understand that, but please also understand that I need to believe this. I need to hold on to it. It's what I come back to when things are hard, and things are hard. Recently, things have been very hard in various aspects of my life, which I'm still toying with whether to actually let you into, because it's very uncomfortable. I will at some point, but yeah, I don't know whether I'm there yet. Let's see, because the next thing that I'm going to tell you is the other one, which is because it's the most recent thing that I've been telling myself that has been very comforting to me. So we'll leave it there with everything happens for a reason, because I know it's very polarizing. I've told you where I land on it, why I like it. I understand why people really don't, but I hold it close to me, that one. And as I say, when I look back at some of the most painful moments of my life, they had to happen. I wouldn't be here right now if those moments hadn't have happened. And as I say, the very difficult things that I'm going through at the moment, I know that I will look back and go, yeah, that had to happen. And look at where I am now. This is awesome. So I know that will happen, because it's happened too many times to me already for it not to be true for me, if that makes sense. So another thing that this is the last one, I promise. So this is the thing that I have been telling myself recently, because I've been having to engage in some activities that have been overwhelming me. And in the past, these are things that I have maybe not faced head on. I have found ways round it, or I have asked other people to do things, take on the responsibility, or they've taken on the responsibility because they know how overwhelmed I get with certain things. And, you know, it often comes down to actually sort of sort of around social anxiety, I suppose, and that kind of thing, but it's more in day-to-day life. It's not in my work life, because weirdly, work life and personal life I very much can separate in terms of my in fact, everything. It's really strange. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. I think it's because I've had to, because my life is my work. I do need to separate my work life from my personal life very much. For that reason, I don't think I am going to tell you right now what has been going on. There's a few people listening that I know because I've let them know. But there's been some stuff going on in my personal life, and these things that I've been having to do that in the past would have overwhelmed me to the point of debilitation, of being completely debilitated. Let's say it like that, because I don't think debilitation is a word. Debilitating to a debilitating degree, and I would just be thrust into a depressive state, complete inaction, being overwhelmed, and just being completely, I feel like I can't do anything. Something that I've been telling myself recently, and this is a great one, I really like this one, is, look, yes, this is hard, but hundreds or thousands or even millions of people have been through this and they've succeeded. And you're not an idiot, so therefore you can get through this too. You're not stupid. I'm not saying I'm clever, but I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. There are people that maybe have less insight into things that have also managed this, and therefore I can too. It's like, I tell you a really good example that I can actually cite. So, an airport, right? I remember being very young and travelling through an airport by myself. I was like 14. And whenever I would feel, I'm only just realising this now, I've actually thought this for a long time. I thought this a long time ago, and then a large chunk of my life I've completely forgotten about this, and now I've come back round to it. But so if I was feeling like overwhelmed, or like going through an airport, like, oh my god, I've got to go and get my boarding pass, and then I need to go through security, that's scary, and like I don't know how to do that by myself, and then and then I have to go and make sure that I'm at the gate, and what if I go to the wrong gate, all these things, like what if I miss my flight, what if blah, 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 blah. But then if you think about the millions of people that have made it through all those situations and made it onto a flight and found themselves in getting to the destination, they've all managed it. And like I say, I'm not stupid, so I'm pretty sure I will be able to navigate it. Yeah, it might be difficult, but I'll find a way. I'll make it work, because loads of people have. And why can't I? I think that's another thing. Like, why can't I? Loads of other people have. Why can't I? There's no reason for me not to do it. I think that's the reason I've been able to travel like to Japan by myself and travel around there for a bit. Like, not only knowing a little bit of the language, like, well, I'll find a way. I'll make it work. Like, loads of people have done this, and I will too. And I think that there's something really empowering about that, rather than kind of, it's so easy to beat ourselves down and go, you can't do this, you're not good enough, who are you to do that, blah, 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 blah. But rather than that, just be like, loads of other people have done it, why can't I? Why can't I? There's no reason that I'm not physically able to do it. Like, as long as I'm physically able, why not? As long as I'm mentally able, which, I'm not trying to learn quantum physics here. I'm just trying to get through an airport. And even then, if I decided to learn quantum physics, I could do that too. Why not? Why not? Why not me? Loads of people have. Why not me? So I think it's kind of, there is a, that kind of comparison thing of like, people often are saying, don't compare yourself to other people, blah, blah, blah. I think there's a lot of value in that. But at the same time, also acknowledge the fact that many people have done something before if you're looking to do it. So therefore, of course you can do it. Of course you can. Why not? you are capable. You are a human, therefore you are capable. Yeah, and a lot of people with a lot less about them have managed it. So you can too. I think you'll be fine. And like I say, it doesn't negate the fact that it will be difficult sometimes, and I'm going through that right now. It's tough. But I'll make it through. Loads of other people have. So why not me? Huh? Why not me? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. But I hope that some of those mantras have kind of given you some food for thought. Always got to bring it back to food, haven't I? Always! But yeah, I hope that they have sort of resonated in some way. And equally, if you're like, I absolutely disagree with all of the things you're saying, that's fine. Talk to me. Tell me. You can tell me why I'd be interested. I would be interested, but I'm more interested in what you tell yourself that you find useful. I'd really love to know that, actually. So if you would be willing to share on whatever, whether that's on Instagram, whether that's in the comments on YouTube, I'm always fascinated by the way that people think, what they're telling themselves, and how that affects their life, hopefully in a positive way. I really hope it's in a positive way, even though it may seem negative on the surface, because, I have a few of those too. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it there, I think. If you enjoyed this episode, please do feel free to like, share and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. If you are listening on any all good podcasting platforms, I would really appreciate if you would take the time just to leave a little review. It really helps get this podcast out there to more people. If you would like to go the extra mile with the lovely Patreon supporters, I'd be eternally grateful if you go to patreon.com/EmilyDrums. You get early access to episodes, and you get bonus content, and you also get I do hangs on Zoom or YouTube, or depending on what I fancy, basically, whatever platform I fancy at the time. And yeah, if you want to find out anything else that I do in life, you can go to emilydrums.com. That's emilydrums.com. Anyway, I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. I hope you're having a great day, wherever you are, whatever you're up to. And I shall see you next time for another episode. All right, lots of love to you. Mwah! I'll see you later.